Jeremy Lapidus, host of this Triple Threat show, joined as always by my two friends and co-hosts,
Shane Brisland
and
Hayden Reamer.
Excuse me, my mic was running away from me.
But you ever catch it?
I did. It was running away from me. It was kind of scary. But anyway, we are here in studio, also live on YouTube at the Triple Threat Show. So you can go check us out over there. But yeah, we have a lot of great stuff to talk about. It's been a bit since we've been in studios. First of all, happy Hanukkah. Good luck on finals. But how have you guys been?
Just busy, and I'm just ready for this break. Can't wait to not have to worry about any schoolwork for a few weeks.
He's ready.
What about you, Hayden?
I'm looking forward to Sunday at 5 p.m. That is when my last big assignment is due.
Like tomorrow?
Yeah. I'm not worried about my finals,
That's
but the assignment that I can just relax for a night and Monday, and then finals start for me. So, how are you doing, Jeremy?
Me? I'm doing great. I got nothing to complain about. We got finals.
There's always something to complain about.
We don't have a Hayden cam, but we do have a Shane and Jeremy cam. So
I'm in the corner just peeking in there.
But yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, there has been a lot of stuff we've missed. JMU football has gone through so much.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, College Game Day was here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we lost a coach.
Yep.
Kurt Signetti was
Man got paid.
taken to Indiana by way of 8 figures. And a private
There's
plane.
$5 million reason why.
More than that.
Left.
There's like 10.
10 million? Isn't it $5 million a year or something?
It's 8 figures, Shane. That's in the tens
1,
of millions.
2, 3,
Sorry,
4,
I couldn't count that high.
5, 6. That's 7 zeros for those of you at home.
It's a lot of zeros.
And then a number before the zeros.
I don't blame him. I would have left too for that money.
But anyway, he is gone. Goes to Indiana. Yesterday, it is announced. Not yesterday.
I think it was a couple days ago.
2 days ago. 2 days ago. Yep, it was 2 days ago. 2 days ago, it is announced that JMU is hiring Holy Cross head coach
Bless you.
Bob Chenzi. He has led Holy Cross to the FCS playoffs 4 years in a row. He's been there for 6 years. He has a 70% winning percentage as a head coach over there. All reports are he's very good at his job.
I would hope so.
I would also hope so, Shane.
You don't want to hire somebody and be like, yeah, reports are in. This guy sucks at his job. Then why did we hire him?
Yeah, but FCS, that's where we were up until 2 years ago. So he was kind of having a similar amount of success that JMU was having under Kurt Signetti in that league. The biggest issue is the transfer portal is decimating the roster right now. You have huge names along every position. Jordan McLeod has hopped into the portal. James Carpenter hopped into the portal. Kamara hopped in the portal. There's been all types of, just about from everywhere. Zach Horton, tight end, jumped into the portal. There's a million names that are gone. I think the cornerback, Pons.
Yes.
He hopped into the portal. He's a freshman. He just made like an all Sun Belt Conference team as a freshman, and he's gone.
I mean, it doesn't mean they're gone, but
he hopped into the portal.
Yeah.
He's probably gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of changes around here. This is going to be a completely different team, whole new staff. What are your guys' thoughts on this hire? What's been going on with JMU football in general?
I think JMU football is going to be fine. We're probably not going to be 11-1 like we were this season. but I think we'll still be a winning team because JMU just has had a history of success, but even before Signetti, of just being a winning team, and this coach has that legacy, and with that coach, he's going to bring in some of his players and his talent. So it's just going to be a new wave of people, and I think more people are going to be attracted to go to JMU with all our current success that we've had previously. So I think JMU football is going to be just fine.
Bigger and better things, says Shane.
I don't see
Bigger
a
and better
reason
things?
why.
Is this team on par with what we did this season?
No, I'm not gonna. We had such a good season that it's gonna be hard to beat, but I think we'll still be a winning team.
All right. You got any thoughts?
No, I mean, I'm not very familiar with Chesney, so I can't really speak to exactly what improvements we may see, what downgrades we may see. I mean, I think some of the staff staying is nice. Allows for the transition in next year is going to be a little bit easier. But
what are you gonna do?
Ignore me. This is a live show. There we go. We fixed it.
Okay. But yeah, no. I mean, I don't really have any thoughts, Jeremy. What about you?
We went over this. Anyway, no. This team's going to be very good. I agree. Like Shane said, there's a culture of winning here.
Yeah.
20 years since we've had a losing season. Long time. Now, the tough part is, like I said, this transfer portal is the biggest issue, really. Because in the past, when a coach leaves, the players are kind of stuck. You still have those players. But, now that the transfer portal is in effect, we are losing a lot of that. Because a lot of the culture comes from the players. As much as a coach can try and instill it, the players have to be willing to go along with it for it to exist. So I'm a little concerned, but I think this moves them out of the conversation for New Year's Six Bowl, or the playoffs, actually, would be a New Year's Six Bowl. But I still think they can compete for the Sun Belt.
Next year?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's fair. I mean, I would be shocked, like Shane said, I'd be shocked if it was a losing season, but I also, would be shocked if they won the conference.
Yeah. I don't know.
Somewhere in between, I think, is a happy medium.
Like I said, they'll have a winning record, but I don't know if they'll win the conference, be bowl eligible, be ranked, but I think they'll have a winning record.
It's bowl eligible.
Yeah.
That's all it takes?
Yeah.
You have to be 500 or above.
Shows you guys how much I know about college football.
Our leading expert on college football, Shane Brisland. Everyone.
Woo!
Yeah, Bama's good, right?
Yeah, they made the
Still?
playoff.
Okay. Oh, speaking of playoffs,
College football playoff.
that was very controversial from what I've heard.
Yeah, it was.
Could you explain to me? I didn't really pay attention to it. I know a team got snubbed for whatever reason.
So for the last 9 years or so, so what college football used to do is, you know how they do the rankings?
Yeah.
At the end of every season, the championship. Well, we'll start at the very beginning. Very beginning, a long time ago. Sorry, I would keep starting this at different points.
Beginning of time.
Beginning of time. College football is created. That's the
Teddy
first thing.
Roosevelt created the NCAA.
First thing that was ever created was Teddy Roosevelt, who subsequently created college football.
Were there colleges? Was there football? No. College football existed.
And then eventually colleges found it.
Mm-hmm.
Just lying about.
Yeah.
So college football became a thing. And in the beginning, they do the ranking system, and the national championship is just whoever was ranked number one at the end of the year. No game, no nothing.
It's boring.
That's boring.
Yeah.
That's what everyone said, Shane. So from there, in like 1970, I believe, they took the top 2 ranked teams in the country, and they said, fight. And the winner was the national champion. This is also when the FBS and FCS split. Also in 1970. Now, that's the way its system worked. Number 1 versus number 2 up until about 10 years ago. And, at this point, everyone was like, oh, there were undefeated Power 5 teams that didn't make number 1 and 2. This is so unfair. You should expand it so that, these teams can actually compete for the national championship. So we got 4.
Mm-hmm.
We got 4 teams. And that's where we're at right now until next year. We're going to expand again.
To 12.
And they always said, we're not picking the best team. We're picking it based on resume. And
Isn't that the best team?
because it's hard to usually it is, but in this instance, Georgia, probably one of the best teams, but they lost to Alabama, and you were going to put Alabama in over Texas because Texas beat Alabama, and then
it's like that domino effect. Well, this team beat this team, and then this
Yep,
team beat this
exactly.
team. So by law, JMU beat Bama.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I feel like that's not a good rabbit hole to measure.
So JMU
success.
should have been in the playoff. You heard it here first,
Yeah.
folks. Shane Brisland. But no. So that's the way it's worked, and generally the precedent has always been, because it always was undefeated teams at the front, and then whatever down.
Yeah.
For the first time in college football history, really, a Power 5 team that was undefeated was just told to F off.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have their starting quarterback.
Just because the quarterback was hurt? Or
Quarterback was hurt,
And that's it.
basically.
But if they earned the right to be there, they should still have a chance to play.
That's the whole controversy,
Yeah.
Shane.
So who are the 4 teams that got in?
4 teams. Number 1, 13-0, Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, that checks out.
Number 2, 13-0, Washington Huskies. Number 3, 12-1 Texas. And number 4, 12-1 Alabama.
So Georgia didn't make it this year either.
So number 5, 13-0 Florida State.
That's rough.
That is rough.
The Bama bandwagon beat them.
There's been a lot of people calling SEC bias. There's been a lot of debate over this.
I guarantee you there's probably a financial reason to it. They're like, oh, Bama's the big college name. They're the legacy
Florida
team.
State is not a small name.
Yeah. But I feel like Bama, the narrative of like, oh, Bama's always good, so we have to throw them in there.
I really don't think that was part of it. I think it was more SEC.
They need an SEC team in there.
Yeah.
Because like the Huskies, it sounds like a random.
They're from the Pac-12. That doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore, by the way. It's gone now.
Gotcha.
Pac-2.
It's the Pac-2.
What happened with that?
Everybody left.
Long story short,
College football is such a the Wild West.
Yeah.
Everyone's just doing their own thing now.
long story short, Shane, there was a lot of teams got pulled into other conferences, and then TV deal fell apart, so they had no more money. So then everyone else left, other than 2 teams, which no conference wanted.
What are the 2 teams?
Oregon State and Washington State.
Why did no one want them?
I don't know. They're solid
I was
teams.
gonna say Oregon's.
Not
usually-
Oregon. Oregon State.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Also a solid team.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just kind of got left behind.
We'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
They'll be okay.
They got demoted, basically.
Oof. That's rough.
They'll be a group of 5 school now.
Yeah.
So then, I guess that's my question about all that. Is there going to be a new conference in the Power 5?
I think it's going to be Power 4.
Power 4?
Works better for the new playoff
five?
system anyway.
Yeah.
Which is kind of evil. A little bit.
What?
ESPN was the TV dealing, which is part of the reason why the Pac-12 fell apart. And the new playoff system has 4 auto buys. Presumably, for the Power 4 champion winners. Presumably. The ACC is about to fall apart too, but
It's okay. But didn't they just take somebody from the Pac-12?
no, not the Big Ten and the SEC.
Maybe it was the SEC. I just remember there's one school that now has like this insane travel schedule. to play all these teams.
It's probably the Big Ten.
It was like East Coast, like lower East Coast. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Yeah, but that's what happened with college football.
Gotcha.
A lot of stuff.
It's just crazy how these teams like have the freedom to like jump from conference to conference, and then there's like these TV deals on top of
Well, it's not easy.
getting over it. And then the students at the end of the day, they have a lot more freedom to like go to transfer to other colleges.
Yeah, and then the transfer portal is a thing
Yeah.
which a lot of people treat like free agency when they're just talking about it, but so much more goes into it than that.
Yeah.
You know?
And then NIL, that has a huge influence on it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's rapidly evolving. Like the transfer portal and NIL combined, along with all these movements, all these kind of go together hand in hand. But it's one of those things that it's going to be a completely different sport in 5 years.
Yeah. It's already changed so much in like the past 1 or 2. It's kind of at the end of the day, it's kind of these kids or young adults are still students at the end of the day, but college football is like their entire identity, and you kind of forget about like the student aspect. So when they have to have these crazy travel schedules, like how is this going to affect like their education that they should supposedly be trying to prioritize?
What, the NCAA not caring about students?
Hold on, I thought it was student first, athlete second.
Yeah, but all I hear is football this, football that, go to a different school to play football, and all of that.
I cannot fathom.
University of California and Berkeley are both in the ACC, or are going to be in the ACC.
It's a good move for them.
Yeah,
Those are just like good schools.
Yeah, that's a crazy travel schedule now for college sports.
No, the Big Ten, the one that's in Northeast America.
Well, yeah,
they have USC and UCLA.
So dumb.
I think it was a Big 10 and a Big 12, by the way.
And none of them have the same amount of teams.
No.
The Big Ten has like 17 teams now.
It's great. Oh, I love college sports.
Also,
how do we just have this council that determines?
It's a secret council of 13.
The secret council
white guys
determines who goes to the college playoffs.
What, would you rather it decided by something like record or something? That'd be crazy. They don't all play each other. You can't do that. That would mean Liberty would be in the playoffs. Liberty's 13-0.
Ew.
Ew is right.
Ew, not Liberty.
I mean, I'm just saying that makes a little bit more sense than a secret council that...
Don't worry, it's a public secret council.
Okay.
We know some of the people that are in it.
Okay.
Public secret council.
Everyone knows it exists.
That's such a great oxymoron.
But yeah. No, it is kind of arbitrary.
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's why this controversy could even happen in the first place.
I feel like it would be more surprising if they did handle it in a logical manner. Because this is college football. I feel like things always have to go wrong. There's always has to be a controversy. There's always a better solution to stuff, but no, they just make it more complicated than it needs to be. Like, every decision made in college football just seems like the wrong decision.
They're good at that. It's not just college football. It's college basketball,
College sports.
College sports in
college
general.
baseball, college softball, college cross. I'm not going to name all of them. But there's more.
Major League Baseball.
College Major League Baseball. No. But yeah, the NCAA is a mess. Always has been, always will be. But that's what we got. And
We'll deal.
gotta deal with it. Anyway, moving on from college football here. Shane, we haven't heard your beautiful, beautiful voice on radio for way too long.
Yeah, it's been a hectic few months for me.
And aside from your expertise in college football, we here in the Triple Threat show believe you might your talents might be better if you were in a different department. I wanted you to try your hand at hockey. Yeah. I don't know how good you'll be at this.
Oh no, you
got swim and dive.
All my hockey predictions at the beginning of this season have been thrown out the window.
Oh no!
I feel like I've jinxed everything. Everything that I said would happen didn't happen. Everything that didn't happen did happen. So
hello, yes, this is the new hockey expert on the line.
So, what I really want to talk about, there's this statistic getting thrown around, like 75% of teams that are in a playoff spot by Thanksgiving break go on to make the playoffs. Now that we're closer to Christmas, I assume the odds are a lot higher that if you're in the playoffs right now, you're probably going to be in. So I just want to name the teams in the playoffs right now, and you can tell me whether or not you think they will stay there, or do you think that they will get replaced by somebody else.
Alrighty then.
All right, let's do it.
So let's go start in the East. In the Atlantic Division, we have the Boston Bruins winning the division. Not a lot of surprises there. Had the best season in NHL history last year.
I thought they were going to miss the playoffs, Shane.
I had them making the playoffs. Because you don't go from... It's kind of hard to fall that much when you're the best NHL season of all time. And they still have a lot of key contributors, like Brad Marchand. The more he ages, the better he seems to get at hockey.
That's right, Shane. I remember now. They had him in the wild card.
Yeah.
Shane had him a wild card team.
And then Florida spited me. I was like, Sergei Bobrovsky hasn't had a good regular season in forever. What makes me think he's going to do it now? He's having a good regular season. And when you got goaltending and you have Sam Reinhart putting up a crazy season in a contract year, you're going to have a good record. And then Detroit really surprised me. I didn't think they would be this consistent and this good, but Alex DeBrincat has found his goal-scoring touch again. And then they also just signed Patrick Kane recently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how good he's going to be coming off like a major hip surgery, but it's Patrick Kane, and if you can get like 50% of a Patrick Kane, still a solid player.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in the third spot for the Atlantic. So any thoughts on the teams that you think could fall out of this picture?
So let's talk about you said the Atlantic right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So we got the Panthers and the Red Wings are probably the two most most likely to fall out. I think probably the Red Wings. If any team's going to fall out, it's going to be them.
Here's the thing with the Atlantic. You still have teams like the Maple Leafs,
are
a wild card and the Lightning,
yeah,
who are not on top of that division. And then you have teams like Aiden was saying here, the Detroit Red Wings.
Uh-huh.
Not the Lightning or the Maple Leafs, in my opinion. So for that division, I think either Toronto or Tampa Bay is gonna grab that spot
from Detroit.
Yeah.
I think so too, because those teams have always been like the staples of that division. There's a lot of star power on those teams. Andrei Vasilevsky just got back, so like if he gets going, that Tampa team can get going.
It's not like they're that far out.
Yeah. I'm basing this off of win percentage, not by points, because everyone's played by different games so far.
Okay, I'm looking at points. Let me sort by win percentage then.
So yeah, Detroit off to a good start. I don't know if they can compete with the likes of Toronto and Tampa. Tampa, this may be their year where you kind of see the age and the withering of the core start to reveal itself. But I think Toronto for sure gets in just so they can lose in the first round again.
What? They broke their curse, remember? They already won the first round.
Yeah, but it's Toronto. Toronto's going to find some way to mess it up.
They got to take a step back now, and then they take 2 steps forward.
So
that's right.
My conclusion is Toronto's going to get that 3 spot from Detroit. Detroit, I'll have to look at the wild card again when we reevaluate it, but let's move on to the Metro. And the Metro, they have at their 1 spot the New York Rangers.
That's true.
At their 2nd spot, the New York Islanders.
You're wrong.
And I have it in win percentage.
Why? It goes by points.
Yeah, but not every team has played the same amount of games.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah, because the Islanders have some weird. But the Islanders, they're still top 3 in the division in terms of points, though.
Yeah, they're third. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
And the Philadelphia Flyers. I have not looked at the standings recently, and it's just shocking to see the Islanders not that bad. Philadelphia, what a comeback of a season. They were pretty bad last year, but John Tortorella has rallied this young group to be really competitive this year.
Yeah, so the Flyers do stand out there just a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't they, Shane?
Just trying to think who's on Philadelphia. There's Couturier. He's been injured forever, and he's back. He's a decent player. Who's on their blue line? There's Travis Sanheim.
Shane, you're forgetting the most important piece to that puzzle. It's Carter Hart.
Carter Hart. Yeah, I forgot about Carter Hart.
How did you forget about Carter Hart?
Because
he's your favorite player in the NHL.
Because he's been bad, or just the team around him has been so bad for so long, and this team finally got it together. So it's just with the other teams in that division too, like the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes. The New Jersey Devils have Jack Hughes, who's putting up insane numbers, but they just can't play defense. So that kind of tossed them down the standings. Excuse me.
You're good.
And the Carolina Hurricanes, they've owned this division for the past 5 years, it feels like. And they're off to a rough start. I mean, when your number one goalie gets hurt, that's tough. But usually they're a lot better of a structurally defensive team. But maybe, this core of players is slowly aging, and you see it withering away. But there's still a lot of season left for them to make it up. So, and then the Islanders, I'm surprised. Having 7 overtime losses doesn't really give me a lot of confidence.
Here's the thing with the Islanders, Shane. This is a team that, aside from last year, they were just bad.
Yeah.
Had made 2 conference finals in a row.
Yeah.
This is not like a team too far out of contention.
But they always struggle to make it into the playoffs. But I guess once you get there, anything can happen. But their Achilles heel has always been they just barely make it into the playoffs, and that's what happened to them last year, where they just barely made it in, and then they kind of struggled from there. So I'm always worried, when is that going to bite you, where you're just not good enough in the regular season, where you just don't make it.
Mm-hmm.
But they have Ilya Sorokin. If you have goaltending, you can do anything.
He's right.
So, and then the Penguins and the Caps, they're washed. They're just old.
Caps are in the playoffs right now, aren't they? Wild card?
No, they're not. In terms of points, no, they're not in the wild card. But if you do it by percentage, they're in.
Win percentage, yes. Yeah. That's the stat that they use.
Yeah.
And they also have played a lot less games than everybody else in this division.
Yeah.
They have. Why have they played so many fewer games, Shane?
It's the schedule.
It's because they're old.
The schedule. Yeah.
They're slow. They can't play as many games.
They can't get to the arena fast enough.
So, do you think Philadelphia makes the playoffs? Do you think the Islanders make the playoffs? Or do you think that more regular playoff teams will make a comeback and take that spot?
I think the Flyers are good. Islanders, I don't think if they're going to get in. I think it's probably more of a wild card, especially when you look at stuff something that I think was more predictive of success is goal differential. And the Hurricanes just have a better goal differential. Obviously, it's not that big of a difference because we're talking about 20-game sample size. But that's a
quarter of the season. That's a pretty big sample size.
That's a sample size, but it's also 20 games. That's not a whole 25 games. Isn't a ton of time.
It's a quarter of the season. That's 25%.
Yeah.
You can extrapolate 25%.
Yeah,
and so numbers show 75% of these teams, this point in the season, they make playoffs. So
yeah, I think the Islanders probably are a wild card team. Hurricanes, probably make it into the actual you know what I mean? not the non-wild card, but in the playoffs.
Yeah, in the Metro there, I don't know. I'm not convinced that Philly is good. I don't know. I know they looked really good, but I'm waiting for them to fall off.
I feel like they do this a lot too.
Start off strong and then
off super strong, and then they kind of
nosedive towards the end.
Because they did this at the beginning of last year too.
Yeah. I remember.
Granted, this is much further into the season than it was last year, but
they're like a young team, so maybe they finally figured it out and hitting their stride. And John Tortorella is a old school coach who like really holds every player accountable, and so maybe the young guys need that and bought into it. But usually that kind of coaching style kind of wears out on you the longer the season goes on. So I'm not sold on Philadelphia. It would be a good story if they did make playoffs. It would be a really good underdog story.
And then the Devils, I mean, like
they have
they're just such a good team.
So much talent
that I don't believe that they'll be held down there for that.
Again, the constant issue.
And they're heating up.
They don't have goaltending.
What are you talking about? They have Seattle Kraken, greatest player of all time.
Vitek Vanacek?
Vitek Vanacek.
Yeah. It's just
never
that
allowed a goal.
He's never allowed a goal in Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, but he's allowed plenty for the New Jersey Devils right now. And
get him back to the
Kraken. And he just hasn't been... They just haven't had consistently good goaltending, and that's where they're really struggling. And then they lost one of their best defensemen in Dougie Hamilton.
Shane, we know how to fix this issue.
Trade for John Gibson.
Trade for John Gibson.
So, there's been a lot of rumblings that they need to trade for a goalie at some point, but we'll see what happens. Yeah.
He's such a good fit. I want this to happen so bad. No. This is all I want.
Every year you want him traded, and every year it doesn't
happen.
Free my boy.
What do you mean? He's very happy with
that. Oh, yeah. I've heard tons of reports saying he's happy constantly losing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe he should allow less goals if he wants to win more, all right?
Free my boy. He doesn't deserve this slander. We love the Ducks. Quack, quack, baby.
Quack, quack.
Anyway, so I think it's going to be the Rangers.
It makes so much sense on both sides.
I think Carolina and New Jersey gets in there. I just can't. I don't trust that these teams will sustain like their initial success, and it's not like they're that far from them in the standings, but it's just where they are right now. I think
3 points is insurmountable.
So I think
what's that, like 2 whole games?
Yeah, 2 games. So I think New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils, and Carolina Hurricanes, I think they'll take the top of the Metro.
No, it's I do believe the Metro is going to be the division. And actually, you know what? I take that back. I don't think anything in the East is set. Straight up. I think only Boston and the Rangers on top of those divisions. Yeah. I think those are the only 2 teams that like 100% are going to stay.
Yeah.
The West looks pretty set, though, except for one team.
Yeah. Then what about the wild cards?
Wild cards in the East? Who are the wild cards right now, Shane?
It's 5 points. It is Toronto and the Carolina Hurricanes.
I think those teams move up, and there's probably a different team in the wild card. Who? I have no idea.
I think I'm going to give it to... I'm going to give Detroit a wild card. They just look good this year.
Keep going, Shane.
The Yzer plan is going to come to fruition. I think Detroit makes the playoffs for the first time in a bit. And then I'm going to throw in the... Ooh, this is a tough one. Do I leave Tampa out of the playoffs?
See, that's my big question. That's where the big turning point of this Eastern Conference is, I think, this season. It's Tampa. Shane, is Tampa Bay good?
It's just they're so reliant on... They just don't have the depth scoring they used to. Because, like, when you're up against the salary cap and you win as much as you do and guys want to get paid, Like, they all just leave the team, and there goes your depth. And, like, Nikita Kucherov, Stamkos, Braden Point, they're all doing what they need to do, but they can only do so much if you don't have depth.
Right, but are they good? Like,
Are they better than the teams ahead of them on paper?
on paper, probably.
On paper, yeah, but what they're doing right now, it's
They're
not
not.
inspiring confidence.
No.
And the other thing is they just got Vasilevsky back.
I feel
Mr.
like I
Greatest
should
goalie in
go
the world.
Mm-hmm.
against my
So-
gut instinct, because whatever my gut has been telling me, it's been wrong so far. So my gut's telling me Tampa's going to miss playoffs. But I'm just going to ignore that because it hasn't worked for me lately. So yeah, I think Tampa gets that other wild card.
But let's explore that a little bit. Why do you think they're going to miss the playoffs? Because I think this, like, when you're looking at standings right now and trying to predict down the line, the biggest question mark is Tampa. If Tampa's good, they're going to take a slot, and if they're bad, that's going to open a whole new can of worms for the rest
Yeah,
of the
that
Eastern
opens it up
Conference.
for every other team in the league.
Right. So, like, I want to dive deeper into this. Like, why? Why don't you think they're going to make it?
Because when your best player, especially your goaltender, is coming off an injury, like a major injury like Vasilevsky went through, you don't know how that's going to affect him. And Tampa has been carried by Vasilevsky's success as a goaltender for so long, and now that they have like mediocre goaltending, you're kind of seeing how valuable Vasilevsky really was. I mean, of course, Vasilevsky's
Greatest goalie in the world.
yeah, like
Hard to undervalue
he's
that.
probably a Hall of Famer if he retires right now. So, not to understate what he's done for the team, but you're really kind of seeing that. But Kucherov, he's still having a good year. Stamkos is still doing well. Braden Point's still doing well. Like, those core guys, they're still producing. Like, John Cooper, an incredible head coach. He's going to get those boys going. But at what point does that voice in the locker room become dull? At what point do they need a restart?
Mhm.
Like, can they overcome this adversity? Because they're just so used to success, and if one thing doesn't go their way, can they overcome that? So there's a lot of hesitation here for me of whether that culture and these talented players and their aging core can keep it up for this long. But it's Tampa. they're just so. At the end of the day, they have some of the best players in the world. So how can I not throw them in there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like Pittsburgh and Washington not making the playoffs.
Yep.
And Washington not making the playoffs.
Yep.
They can't make it.
Yeah.
And Washington and Pittsburgh choked down the line, and they're just not the teams they used to be. And maybe this is the year for Tampa, but I just don't see it yet because Kucherov is still killing it, and Vasilevsky hasn't played that much yet. So, like, once we see Vasilevsky get more starts and hit a stride, then we can start to see. But, like, my biggest worry is if Vasilevsky is not playing well, then they're not going to make playoffs.
I'm a believer in them, but in the scenario where they don't make it, I mean, you could see Buffalo could still come back. They've had a little bit of a disappointing season.
Yeah, it's still early, but it's just, unfortunately, this just still looks like the same Buffalo team where they have all this talent,
It's just
yet
that
they just can't get it together.
it's just that, I mean, from the last wild card spot, the Ottawa Senators are the worst team in the Eastern Conference by points. They're only 9 points out of a playoff
They've
spot.
also
right now.
only played 21 games.
They're only 9 points out of a playoff spot. So if you add 5 games, say they win all of them, instead of 20 points, they're at 30 and they're in the playoffs. You know, that just puts them tied with Toronto. So, like, honestly, the Eastern Conference is so wide open right now.
Yeah.
Every single team has, like, a legit chance to sneak into a wild card spot. And I really think that Tampa Bay is that linchpin because they're going to get a wild card spot. I don't think they're good enough to win their division right now.
Or get into the top 3 of the
Yeah.
division.
Well, they might be, but we'll keep it on the wild card spot here. And then there's just so many options there. It it really opens up a whole new can of worms. So
I think my final prediction, I think Tampa and Detroit get those wildcard spots.
all right. How about the Western Conference? That one's a lot more locked up than the East is.
Yeah. So, no surprise in the Central. Everyone predicted that Colorado and Dallas would be on top of that division. And then the surprising thing is Minnesota has fallen off a cliff. A lot of people have them in as the wild card team or that third seed in the Central, but everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong this year for the Wild, except for, thank God, Marco Rossi emerged as a contributing forward, because if he was a bust, this team was screwed. Because he was like projected to go third overall, and I believe the 2021 draft. And then he kind of slipped to pick number 9. And then he had a really bad case of COVID where he almost died. So thankfully, he's recovered from that. And he's been sitting in the AHL for a long time, so he can gain confidence and gain more like an NHL play style. He's having a good season. Joel Eriksson X having a good season. But again, if you don't have consistent goaltending and they just don't have a lot of scoring depth, then it's just going to be hard for you to put up good numbers in the standings. And then Kirill hasn't been a superstar like you've seen in previous seasons. So, the Minnesota Wild are having a rough go of things, and I just don't see them in the playoffs, and that hurts me because huge Minnesota fan. I just don't see them making the playoffs playing like the way they do.
He's a Minnesota fan?
I thought he was a Jets fan.
Yeah, I could have sworn.
Don't do this to me.
Jets in both sports.
Yeah. He really likes aviation.
Aviation, yeah.
He's a Jets fan. He's a Jets fan. He's a Nets fan just because it rhymes with Jets. But never a Mets fan.
No.
Couldn't be a Mets fan.
He has standards, all right?
He's an Astros fan.
Yeah. So
aviation and stuff.
Yeah. Space City.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Winnipeg Jets, they're in that third spot in the Central, but I think they also hold on to that because they have Connor Hellebuck, who's a Vezina-winning goaltender. And if you got goaltending, you can
win championships.
You got a good chance of making the playoffs, and they still have Scheifele, they still have Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers. They have a good core group of players there. So I see them keeping that spot in the Central. Do you guys have any other thoughts?
The most interesting thing to me in the West is the wild card race.
Yeah.
Top of the division, kind of wash, outside of Vancouver in the Pacific.
Yeah, Pacific's not really a surprise with Vegas and the Kings. Everyone, the Stanley Cup champions, and everyone knew the Kings were going to be good this season.
Edmonton light.
Yeah, and then Edmonton has been they haven't had a good start to the season.
They've not had a good start to the season.
But I think they've been doing better ever since they fired their coach. And they have the 2 best players in the world. That they've got to, at least get a wild card, right?
6-game winning streak right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're on the up and up. Which, I mean, that means they were
bad.
5-12
yeah.
before. But
again, they didn't have goaltending, so that means they didn't have a chance.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest surprise to me is Edmonton being bad. They're turning it around, though.
Are you surprised that Vancouver's doing good?
A little bit.
Because it's just every year. They're like Buffalo. Where like every year, like, oh, just wait. They have the talent. Just wait to this season. They're going to get it together, and they're going to be a good team. And then they just never are. They can never be consistent. And now this year, they are. Thatcher Demko, again, phenomenal goaltending. You have a chance. Elias Pettersson, he's in conversation. And then Quinn Hughes, argument for him being defenseman of the year, like competing with Cale Makar for best defenseman in the league. And then Elias Pettersson, he could be a sleeper candidate for MVP, 100-point season, on a contract year, so he's going to want to put up some good numbers so he can get that bag. I like this Vancouver team. But of course, this was one of the one teams that I gave up on them this year because I hated always having to pick them to make the playoffs, and they always disappoint me. And then the one year I don't pick them, they are off to this incredible start.
Fake fan. Fake fan.
I didn't say I was a fan.
Fake fan.
I'm not a. It's just having hope in a team, like thinking they're going to be good, and then they just aren't, and then you just give up on them because they'll never get together, and then they finally get it together when you say they don't. It's just how the season's going.
Simply despite you, Shane.
Just despite me. But I think the most interesting team that I see in this wild card race is the Arizona Coyotes.
It's true.
That's really surprising one.
They're there.
They're there.
Yeah, they just had a 5-game win streak where they beat 5 of the previous Stanley Cup champions.
Mm-hmm. And they, put up like a 6-0 spot on the Caps. 5 of those in the first period.
Oh, it's rough. Yeah, but they have some players. They have Clayton Keller. They have Nick Schmaltz, Logan Cooley, the 3rd overall pick 2 years ago. Killed it in college, and he's there putting up good numbers. Again, Connor Ingram, their starting goaltending. He's playing phenomenally. So, do I see them making a wild card? Maybe. I don't know if they can sustain the success, but it would be really fun if they did make playoffs. Because imagine having to play a playoff game in Mullet Arena. I don't know if the NHL...
I don't think they'd fit enough people there.
No, they can. I don't know if the NHL will be happy about it because oh my god, Arizona's actually having success.
For those that don't remember, in our master plan to buy the Arizona Coyotes, we moved them to Arizona State University Hockey Arena.
Mm-hmm.
We did that because
we're
we're in charge of the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah.
So
that NFT money.
Yeah.
It'd be so fun to try to have playoff games in there.
That just sounds like a bad idea.
All of
came up
the
with
loss
that.
of ticket revenue and all that.
We're really bad owners.
Yeah.
Not yet. It's part of our 37-step master plan to buy the Arizona Coyotes.
Was to force them to play their games.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad.
It's a lot of cost that way.
Yeah. Make people really undervalue it so we can get it on the cheap.
Yeah.
I'm thinking $10.
All right.
20.
All right. So this is going to be the boring play, but I'm pretty content with the top 3 teams in the divisions in the West.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty set. The wild cards, we can have some discussion on.
You've got Arizona there. We just talked about them. And then we have Nashville.
Yeah.
The Nashville Predators are in the playoffs, Shane. The
For
Nashville
now.
Predators
For
are in the
now.
playoffs, Shane.
For now. There's still plenty of season. You got to throw the Oilers in there, right?
You don't have to.
Are you going to?
They're pretty far behind, Shane.
But they have McDavid.
75%, Shane.
75%,
They have
Shane.
McDavid, though.
You know who doesn't have McDavid?
The Predators.
The Nashville Predators. You know what Predators have, though? A goaltender.
Yeah, they got Pekka.
They also have a wild card spot right now.
So, you're saying the Oilers in Nashville?
No, honestly, I think it's going to be Arizona.
Say that with your chest.
With my chest? All right. I, Jeremy Lapidus, truly, factually believe that the wild card spots in the West at the end of the regular season will be...
Which regular season? Which year?
This year.
Okay.
Will be the Arizona Coyotes and the Winnipeg Jets.
For the wild card?
Yep.
So you think...
Nashville Predators number 3 spot.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that.
On the table, Shane.
Yeah.
Video proof.
Yeah. I see it.
All I'm saying is Predators have a positive goal differential.
+1.
Yeah. You wanna make this interesting?
Yeah.
Do you wanna make a bet on whether or not Nashville makes playoffs?
Sure.
All right. What do you? What's
you can't just ask me if I want to make
All
a
right.
bet.
Because I don't want to do spicy wings again. Because that's the boring.
We'll figure it out later.
We'll figure it out later. Next show.
I don't know.
Family-sized corn. Family pieces of corn. $20
I was thinking
corn.
maybe the
hates
loser like has to like block a slap shot from one of us.
Well, that seems very one-sided now, doesn't it?
I can get Evan to take a slap shot.
Not sure which one of us would have a better slap shot. I know I've been practicing. Mr. Hockey Team President.
We'll come up with the stipulations later.
Oh, it's that family feast of corn.
Man was like, I don't want to eat spicy wings. How about I hurl a puck at you 100 miles an hour? Or
90 miles
sorry,
an hour, okay.
80 miles
Street
an hour.
hockey ball. It would hurt less.
You might be able to get it up to 40.
On a good day.
Yeah, that sounds fair to me. Sounds fair to me.
Jeremy, would you like to contribute? Like, what are you thinking though? What do you think the punishment should be?
I don't really care.
All right. We can talk about it later.
Anyway,
so the Oilers, I think they get a wild card. They definitely get a wild card there somewhere. Yeah, it's just looking at the teams right now. It's the only two teams that I think that have the best chance are Arizona and Nashville for the wild card. But out of spite, I don't want to pick Nashville to get that last wild card. But they do have Yossi, they do have Saros. But other than that, it's Arizona. No, I'm going to pick Arizona to make that last wild card because I think it would be hilarious if they make the playoffs. And just having to talk about playoff hockey with Arizona playing in Mullet Arena and teams having to play there in the playoffs. So I think I want to see that personally. It would just be funny to see.
all right then.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are hockeyed out, but we could save potential Hall of Famers for next time.
Yeah, we'll save that for next time because we have reached the top of the hour here on WXJM 88.7 FM, Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org. My name is Jeremy Lapidus, host of this Triple Threat Show, joined as always by my two friends and co-hosts,
Shane Brisland
and
Hayden Raymer.
You can check us out on YouTube at The Triple Threat Show. You can check us out on Instagram at The Triple Threat Show and on Twitter at 3 Threat Show. Yeah, check us out there. Real quick before we move into some baseball, Hayden. We forgot to talk about the bowl game that JMU is in during our whole JMU football talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we kind of just went right
unimportant.
First bowl game in JMU history. Pretty cool. Playing in the Armed Forces Bowl, taking on Air Force.
Seems so random.
It's gonna be on the ABC. Big time ABC game.
Yeah.
December 23rd, 3 p.m. It's gonna be in Texas. I don't remember where in Texas, but it's in Texas. Real quick, what do you think is gonna happen here? Because it could be a mess.
Well, aren't most, if not all, the players who entered the portal playing in the bowl game?
That's what JMU expects them to do. I don't know if they're actually going to. They're supposed to.
Yeah.
But who really knows? I'd be shocked if they didn't.
So, I mean, you still have most of them, and you have most, if not all, the rosters still. I mean, that's, I think they'll be fine. It's not like, it's just cool that they're in a bowl game,
It's really cool they're in a bowl game. It's very exciting.
Who cares about the result? Just enjoy.
I mean, it's better to win a bowl game.
It's better to win a bowl game.
You know how many teams? You know how many programs? You know how many programs are undefeated in bowl game history? Do you, Shane?
3.
Not.
None.
5. At least 1.
Yeah, who played in a bowl game for the first time last year and won? He's looking it up.
It's gonna be a weird dynamic though, because
It
the coach
is.
is leaving. Half the
Well,
team's leaving, if not all the teams.
Yeah,
the
it's gonna be
transfer
weird.
portal, and then you're like, oh, we got one more game, guys. Just pull it together for one more game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll do fine.
But don't
I mean,
you think, as a player, you go to that game and you're like, all right, this will make me look better in the transfer portal. If I show up at a bowl game, that's just gonna make my stock rise even higher.
Yeah.
The answer's 1, by the way.
Okay.
So I was right.
Congratulations.
changing rules in the
Technically, they had a tie.
What team? You just
New Mexico State is 4-0-1
Okay.
in bowl games.
Thank you.
Jacksonville State, James Madison, Sam Houston, and Texas State have never made a bowl game. Although Jacksonville State and James Madison just made their first bowl games. So,
Do you think JMU is gonna win this?
yeah, if everyone plays.
Do you think everyone will play?
Probably.
No.
Maybe.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think
I hope-
most of?
I think most, but I don't think everyone will.
Who do you think won't play?
I don't know. I just don't think everyone's going to play.
Because they
I
just
think
don't go to the game.
most of the offensive starters would play. I think McLeod would play.
I'm more worried about the defense.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about too. I think McLeod and
Like
all
I'm not.
would play.
I think the offense is playing. I think most of the defense is playing. I'm worried about some of those pass rushers not playing.
I'm on the
they
same page.
Draft eligible, or are they just transferring? Or
Both.
Why wouldn't they play?
Most of them are transferring.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get
Don't want to
hurt
get hurt
too.
and stuff.
Like, that's the other thing. Yeah, it could help your stock, or you could get hurt. You never know what happens.
Like the offensive lineman might not play. No, this is just from my brain. I'm not basing this off any information.
Yeah.
I want to say that. None of this is based off real information. This is just scenarios I'm running in my brain. Because that's another position that gets hurt a lot.
How good was Air? I mean, they're good enough to make a bowl game.
Air Force, they're an interesting team. They're not a traditional team in the sense of they'll drop back and pass. They are a triple option team. So what that means is 95% of their plays are runs. Now, that on paper, that sounds like a great matchup for us. Greatest run defense in the nation. That sounds like a great game plan. But the way that they do it is the triple option. So everybody snaps the ball to the quarterback. The quarterback's basically a running back in this offense. He can run it, can hand it off to his running back, or he could hand it off to like another wide receiver coming around, or pitch it to something else. There's 3 options for someone to run the ball, and they're all going to different places. You need to be very disciplined on defense, and you need to be athletic enough to stop that because, it's
They're
not
a
easy.
bowl eligible team. They do it work.
Yeah.
And when it's questionable that your defense is going to show up, not a great sign.
It's not questionable. Like I said, that is based off nothing.
Okay.
That's just
If people aren't going to show up,
those are the positions.
Those are the positions.
All
most
reports are
likely.
saying that everyone's going to play.
So going
My-
off that,
my-
I think
my-
JMU has a pretty good shot.
Yeah, it's just pray. You need to be disciplined, and you need to be prepared. I mean, to face this, because it's tough to
Yeah.
defend. You get one wrong, they're gone.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be because the coach was gone all, and they haven't been able to practice this stuff.
Oh, because Signetti's.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot who. I forgot who it is. But they've announced for a
Coach,
Yeah.
this game, it was like the defensive line coach or the offensive line coach, I
Yeah.
think. One of them that is coaching this game. But, most of the staff is gone. It's just tough to practice.
And get everyone motivated.
Yeah. So
'Cause
they should win this game. If Signetti was here, I think they'd blow him out.
It's just. Does this normally happen where coaches can leave right before a bowl game?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is college football for you.
Yeah. I just feel like it would make more sense to finish the season with your team instead of.
Well, he did. This is the postseason.
But it's even more of the reason to. It's the postseason. Like, come on, just stick around for one more game and then you can go. But
But that opportunity might not have been there for him if he waited.
Yeah.
So
why can't you all right, contract starts after.
What's the optics of that? hey guys, listen to me. I'm leaving in a week. Bye.
Maybe,
I mean, it's the same.
It's the same.
You just hear instead of not.
If your coach was like, hey guys, I'm going to accept a job working for Richmond, right after this game, how would you feel? How would you play under him? Would you play differently?
I'd be like, well, if I heard how much he was getting paid, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't blame you. Like, all right, one more game. Let's just get this going and be professional about it.
Okay.
That's my perspective. I get why you'd be mad. I'm like, oh, how dare you leave us? But again, it's like a business at the end of the day. You're getting paid so much money to go there, and like, no offense to Harrisonburg, Virginia, but I guess there's not much in Indiana either.
Bloomington, Indiana is not all that, my friend.
Yeah, but the money though. If I heard you were like leaving JMU because you were getting paid like $5 million, $10 million, I'll be like, all right, yeah, I don't blame you for just up and leaving.
Anyway, most situations aren't like that. They just found a better opportunity.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, this is a normal thing. It's just you can't do that. You can't leave and then continue to coach the team. It's not good for morale.
Fair.
But yeah, anyway, Hayden.
Yeah.
The winter meetings just ended.
Yep.
In the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who don't know, every winter, all 30 MLB ball clubs and their owners and stuff, they all get together and they do their baseball things. And there's always some cool stuff to come out of there. So update us, Hayden. What went on at the winter meetings?
Eric Fetty signed with the White Sox.
Eric Fetty.
Wade Miley signed with the Brewers.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you're noticing a theme here. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
What am I missing?
One funny thing: the Nationals were selected to get the first overall pick, but because of the new lottery rules, they couldn't. And then they selected the Guardians, and then they got selected to get the second overall pick. But again, rules, they can't pick within the top 10, and so then they didn't get that pick either. I thought that was really funny.
Wait, so the Nationals were the worst team in the league, right?
No, there was a lottery. They were like the fifth worst team in the league. But because they pay into the luxury tax, so they like in revenue sharing essentially. They pay to give money to other clubs in revenue sharing. They don't get a lottery pick essentially.
Oof.
You can't have lottery picks back-to-back years, and they had third overall pick last year. So
are they picking?
10.
Oof.
Yeah, but they'll still get 5 in all the other rounds. So it like balances out a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean that was pretty much it. The Rule 5 draft happened. The most exciting thing in baseball ever. It's so boring. Only like weird baseball people really like the Rule 5 draft. Yeah, nothing happened. Everything is just kind of waiting on Shohei Ohtani. Because once Shohei signs, then like teams will pivot to other players, and players don't want to sign if they have an opportunity to gain more leverage and get more money. So it's just a waiting game for Shohei Ohtani to sign. Yesterday, we were told by John Morosi of MLB Network that a deal was imminent and that he was on a flight to Toronto. And then there was rumors that a pitcher on the Blue Jays booked a 60-person reservation at a sushi restaurant in Toronto. And then I forget what the other big thing was. But basically the plane lands, right? The plane that they were tracking, it's like we're in college football here, tracking a plane from a private jet from LA to Toronto. And it's one of the hosts from Shark Tank, and not Shohei Ohtani. And so, yeah. So that's how I spent my day yesterday, was waiting to find that out.
He was plane tracking.
I was not plane tracking.
He was plane tracking.
I was not plane tracking.
He is the source for plane tracking.
I actually was sort of drum roast you right now. Yeah, no, it's just everything's just waiting on Shohei. You're seeing like some like depth starting pitchers sign like Wade Miley, like Eric Betty. The Cardinals went and bought like a bunch of innings eaters. But I mean, it's all just the Juan Soto trade. That was like the big thing.
I was waiting for you to get there. I feel like you were just like nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Yeah, I guess
Juan Soto. There was just one guy, Juan Soto. Not sure if
Juan Soto was traded from Padres, and then the Red Sox and the Yankees made a trade. For like
I'm sorry, you don't get to do that.
Yeah, we're just gonna go. I mean, the Yankees. Well, it's important, you know. The Yankees started the offseason with one outfielder. Last year, they played non-outfielders in the outfield. And so they solved that by actually getting outfielders. Who would have thought, you know?
Yeah. What a concept.
What a concept. They got one of the best young hitters in baseball, pretty much a guaranteed Hall of Famer. You know, he's actually, it's going to be funny, he makes his Yankees debut before Aaron Judge made his Major League debut, like in age-wise, which is pretty crazy. And yeah. And then, you know, now they have Juan Soto, Trent Grisham, and Alex Verdugo along with Aaron Judge. Soto?
It's like 24.
Yeah, I think he just turned 24, 25.
Aaron
Judge is like 30.
He's
only been in the league for like 5 years.
7 years now. But yeah, he was a late bloomer, or a late riser in the major leagues. Part of the reason why he set the home run rookie record. But yeah, no, then Soto's going to be a free agent after this year, so now that's the big, all eyes on Soto. Is he going to sign an extension with the Yankees, the evil empire? Are they going to lock him up?
No,
probably not.
No, he's not. He's not going to resign unless they win a World Series.
Well, unless they give him a boatload of money, but you give him a $500 million contract.
He's coming home.
Put that on his table, and he's going to sign it. Let's be honest here.
He's coming home, Hayden.
Coming to the Nats.
He's coming home.
That's honestly, I think that's...
I really think, like, straight up, I think that's a real possibility.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not being sarcastic?
No, not at all. I think he really did love it here, and I think he hated it in San Diego so much that he wants to go to a place that he knows he will like. Because he's already won that World Series, and he's going to get paid... He's going to get paid regardless of where he goes. Like, it's not. What's the difference? He's going to go from $480 million to $520. You know, that's $40 million, but he's already getting $480 million.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And I think, honestly, that's one of those things that's super important to him. If he likes it being in New York, then I think he might stay, but he knows he liked it in Washington, and I think that's such a huge factor for him.
And then we're also, by the time he comes back, the Nats are going to be like on the rise again, essentially.
What did you not like about San Diego?
It was. I mean, no one likes it there. It was, and it still is a dumpster fire in that clubhouse.
Okay.
And
I thought they were like decent though.
Yeah,
look at that lineup on paper, and it is star-studded.
Yeah. But the problem is they have 4 shortstops. And there's only one shortstop that can play in the field. You put 4 people there. So,
I mean, you can.
But
at least your right side a little vulnerable.
Because, I mean, like, you know, Fernando Tatis Jr., shortstop.
Manny Machado's a third baseman.
Manny Machado. Xander Bogaerts, who they signed from the Red Sox. That deal right there, the Xander Bogaerts deal, ruined any chance that they kept Juan Soto.
They gave him like $300 million, and he's a shortstop / third baseman, a place where they had
guys, like really good major leaguers. Then you have Ha-Seong Kim, who
he can play second base.
He can play second base, but like, I mean, when you're talking about, he's probably the best defensive shortstop of this bunch. You know, and you don't want to move like, you know, like where he'll be the most valuable. It's like playing Dalton Varsho in left field. Just doesn't make sense. And then, who's our shortstop?
I think they only have 3, and you were counting Manny Machado as a shortstop.
I wasn't counting Manny. They had somebody else. They had a ton of shortstops. Besides the point. I don't know what they're doing. But
anyway, no, I really do think it's possible that Soto comes back to DC.
Yeah. And then where's Shohei projected to go?
Where is Shohei going to go? That is the big question, Shane.
That's the thing. Shohei very much...
He's kept it so tight-lipped.
Very tight-lipped. There was So at winter meetings, because there was no like free agent signings and all that, like there was a lot of interviews with like the managers and general managers and presidents of baseball operations, which are really the general managers, but they have to give them a better title to keep more talent within the organization. And Dave Roberts, the manager for the Dodgers, was talking to the media, and he was thinking, if you want to say, like, the clip is really funny because you can literally watch him think, do I say this? Do I say this? Do I say this? Yeah, let's say it. And then he's like, yeah, we met with Shohei the other day, and Shohei Ohtani said he would hold it against teams if they leaked or said that they met with him. Because like what does that do? Nothing. I mean, it just gives the media just fluff to put out. And he was like, I don't want any of this stuff. He doesn't want what happened yesterday where people are tracking a random flight and, doing all that. And, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. The media's been very upset about it. Ken Rosenthal, who in The Athletic wrote like a whole thing about how
it's bad for baseball.
Bad for baseball. Buster Olney of ESPN wrote the same thing essentially.
You're not getting eyes on baseball that you would have gotten if Shohei Ohtani was a big free agent deal.
Chris Russo, which I don't even know why, out of like just I don't know why he even is allowed on national television anymore. Considering he said he was going to retire. But
people say things all the time.
People say things not out of context and be over exaggerative all the time. He said he would retire if the Diamondbacks made the World Series.
So did Mad Dog.
It's the same person.
Oh, you did say Chris Russo.
Yeah.
No, my goodness.
His name's.
Nobody
calls him Chris.
Why did you call him Chris?
I don't know. But yeah, Mad Dog Russo, he was like, I'm going to retire if the Diamondbacks make the World Series. And then he immediately walked it back. And if I was whoever's in charge of scheduling people for shows on ESPN and MLB Network, I'm like, what do you mean? You retired? Sorry, man. You're out of here.
At least give him a week.
All right? But then he was complaining about Shohei with Stephen A. And it's just, I don't know. That bothers me a little bit, but...
Where would you like to see Shohei go?
Like to or think he'll go?
Those are two very different. Both.
Yeah.
So, one team that does not get mentioned, the Seattle Mariners, they tore down their entire roster, dumped all their salary. What are you going to do if not sign Shohei Ohtani? Like, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Let's be honest. Like, what they need a bat. They need pitching, not right now, but next year. Shohei Ohtani isn't going to pitch this year.
You can do both.
You can do both. Like this, it makes perfect sense.
Solves all your problems.
He just has to want to go there.
Ichiro went there.
That's
a huge thing for Japanese players.
Like, especially,
don't underestimate that at all.
Like having Ichiro within the organization.
Because I know in hockey, like Russian players who don't know English, they like to be with another Russian player. Like, who knows their native language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's huge.
Yeah, Ichiro's retired, but I mean, like...
Ichiro is the Japanese player.
Oh, okay.
Like, he's one of the greatest players to ever play baseball.
Yeah.
He hit for contact just for giggles.
Yeah, straight up.
It would have been too easy to hit, like, home runs all day. I mean, like, obviously there's some over-exaggeration there.
If you have time, go watch some Ichiro highlights. Honestly.
He's incredible and just one of the most intelligent baseball players ever. And so, there's very much a respect there. And I think that was the last team that he reportedly visited with. But that was kind of leaked. So, he probably goes... I don't know. The Giants make a lot of sense.
I really think he's going to the Giants. I thought he's been going to the Giants all off season.
The Giants make sense. The Blue Jays make sense. The Dodgers, I don't think it makes sense for the Dodgers.
The Dodgers don't have the money to spend on it.
They do. They do have the money.
They're so far in the luxury tax.
They have the money.
They're so far in the luxury tax.
So are the Mets. Who cares? It's the Dodgers are the Dodgers. It's probably one of those three teams of the Blue Jays, the Giants, or, between probably one of those two teams. I really like the Mariners. Obviously the funny offers. If I was the owner of the Rays, hey, you have 49% of the franchise. Like, you own 49%. Like, come play baseball with the Rays. Or if I'm the Rockies, I make Shohei Ohtani my general manager, and just let him sign whoever he wants. Just do whatever you want, Shohei. And that would be my pitch to Shohei Ohtani if I was Richard Montfort, who goes by a different first name. But I don't know if we're allowed to say that on here.
It's a name. You'd probably be fine.
I'd probably be fine, but let's not write it on the Boo Boo book. Yeah, and then the big thing then would be Yamamoto, another Japanese pitcher who's going to get posted. Again, everybody's just waiting for Shohei to sign. So it's once Shohei signs, then you're going to see a giant, all the big dominoes fall, and then it's just going to be a frenzy for all the other players.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. No. Baseball's going to be interesting this offseason.
Yeah.
For like 2 weeks, and then it's going to be boring again.
It's gonna be
Eric Fetty, though.
Eric Fetty.
Incredible.
Big name. Former Nats legend.
KBO MVP.
He actually won MVP? I thought he just won the Cy Young.
No, he won the MVP. Yeah. Analytics, man. Look at what it does. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Not me. All right. Well, you want to talk about some National Football League?
Oh my God, you read my brain.
Yeah.
What's the biggest story in the National Football League, you ask? What's been the biggest story all year?
QB's getting hurt?
Yeah. But also Aaron Rodgers. He's back, Hayden.
No, he's not.
He's practicing again.
He's practicing again, but he's not back.
He's back, Hayden.
He's not back.
Hayden, he's back.
The Jets aren't anywhere near a playoff spot. Why would he do that? He said it himself.
Hayden, he's back.
He's back.
I swear, because I have the Texans defense in my fantasy league.
He's not starting this week.
No.
Okay.
Zach Wilson started.
Zach Wilson is the starter this week.
I
It has
picked up
been
the
announced.
Texans defense because I'm like, oh, the Jets offense is so awful.
It's okay.
And I really need to win this week or I do not make playoffs for this league. So I'm really hoping. Again, everything, it's like the fantasy football thing where you drop somebody and you pick up somebody else, and of course the guy you dropped goes on to have 30 fantasy points.
Classic.
So that's how my season's going. I really need to win this game.
All right. Jeremy, outside of Aaron Rodgers, what do you want to talk about?
Outside of Aaron Rodgers? Well, let's see. How about Jake Browning?
I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
This one I haven't picked your brain about. I really want to pick your brain.
Guy?
Yeah. He had a really good game.
He did a very good
I'm
job.
shocked. That was the best the Bengals have looked all year. Who would have thought?
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow was the problem. Who's MVP?
This is a very interesting thing. Okay. So, the whole thing with the MVP is it's been a quarterback award.
Yes.
There's not really a quarterback this year, is there?
You can make arguments for some, but there's not a clear cut.
No, because Mahomes has been pedestrian this year.
Yep.
It's still Mahomes, but,
Yeah.
I
mean, that's what happens when you don't have receivers.
Lamar Jackson has been really, really, really good.
Uh-huh.
And he's probably the front runner for MVP right now.
Okay.
But, no. He hasn't.
Oh, he's been bad.
I mean, he hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been good. Dak is up there in the conversation.
Because of recent results, yeah.
Tua's in there. I don't get it.
CJ Stroud is my favorite QB.
CJ Stroud is in there, but people aren't taking him seriously because he's a rookie. And he should be in MVP talks.
I think of QBs, him and Lamar
are the
QBs. Two.
Now, if this truly was an MVP award, most valuable player, you talk about Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
You can't leave him off of that list.
Yeah.
You just straight up can't. He's so special, what he does there. He's going to be the first receiver to break 2,000 yards ever. He needs 520 yards in the next 5 games.
Pretty much a lock.
Pretty much a lock. As long as he doesn't get hurt. He'll be the first receiver ever to crack 2,000. And if that's not an MVP case, I don't really know what is. He is the MVP in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't win it, in my opinion, like it,
That's a little much.
like
The last non-quarterback to win it was Adrian Peterson back in 2012 when he did his thing.
That was a really good game. That's when it was fun to be a Vikings fan. It's never.
what are your thoughts on the whole Christian McCaffrey?
Christian McCaffrey's the other guy.
Yeah,
I'm not as inclined to give it to him
just because of the other.
just because of that. I don't think anyone on the 49ers should win it.
Why?
It's the whole team. It's not them.
Okay.
You know?
I mean, I think McCaffrey's really good.
I agree.
I think he takes them to the level that they're at.
I've heard some Brock Purdy MVP stuff,
and
I think that's
McCaffrey
ridiculous.
before Brock Purdy.
Oh yeah,
They were on that losing streak because Brock Purdy had some.
no, they were on the losing streak because Debo and Trent Williams weren't there.
Yeah.
That's why they were on the
Brock
losing
Purdy
streak.
had a
You know
bad
who was
game
there
against the
during that
Vikings,
losing
too.
streak? Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I think that automatically takes him out of MVP
Oh,
talk.
yeah.
Like,
I understand.
Straight
I
up.
think that's the only like non QB player though that like you can even talk about. So that's why I just
no, I agree. Throw him in the conversation. He's not my MVP because of that 3-game stretch.
no, I get it. Yeah,
I think you saw how they were without Debo and Trent Williams. Those guys are their leaders on and off the field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, without them, they're a completely different team.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'd give it to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. What about you, Shane?
CJ Stroud 2, Lamar 3.
I like the Tyreek Hill MVP because give it to somebody else besides a quarterback for once. And there hasn't been a quarterback, like we said, that has really stood out this year. But you know who has stood out? Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
So give it to him.
All right. Yeah. Before we go, Shane.
Yeah.
The Vikings are in the playoff race.
Somehow.
What do they have to do to stay in the playoff race?
Well, Justin Jefferson's back.
Justin Jefferson is
That's
back.
huge.
So if on paper we have some weapons on offense.
For context here, before you continue, the Vikings have that 6th slot right now. They're 6-6. They are tied with the Packers. The Packers have the 7th spot, also 6-6. Rams and Seahawks are all 6-6. So there are 4 teams there that are 6-6. How do you stay ahead of those guys?
I don't know what the schedule is like. Dobbs is still our quarterback, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
He's. I think Justin Jefferson just opens up the offense because when you have a player like him on the field, you have to prioritize him, and that opens it up for Hawkinson and Addison. So that offense should be a lot more scary. You'll have a lot more options. But it doesn't mean anything. I just feel like the Vikings are going to find a way to Viking this.
They got a tough schedule.
Yeah.
Raiders, Bengals, Lions, Packers, Lions.
Oof, all the divisional opponents. And our defense is just really hit or miss. So we just have to, our offense has to carry us. And then our defense has to do just good enough where the offense scores a lot of points. But I'm not too confident in this Vikings team. It hasn't been our year.
Straight from the mouth of the Vikings fan. We will pick up these conversations next week and weeks in the future. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this week.
Oh, this is Kane's question.
We're out of time. It's 1:30.
Go a little
No, I had my question. We had the MVP question.
That was his question.
All right.
There we go. I got it.
Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Triple Threat Show. We have been your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus
Shane Brisland.
and
Hayden Raymer.
thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to check us out on YouTube at The Triple Threat Show, on Instagram at The Triple Threat Show, and on Twitter at 3Threat Show. Good night.
Would you rather be horse on your upper half